Hello there. Just welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching this first video. Not gonna be great, but hoping that it'll be better in the future. So, without further ado, let's get to our killer.
William S. Suff, 1974 to 1992, Riverside County.
To start things off, I'm gonna start with a not well-known killer by any means. He's not super well-known. And this killer, as you saw from that point there, is William Suff. He was also known as William Lester Suff, the Riverside prostitute killer, and the Lake Elsinore killer. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Please do correct me if I said it wrong. He was convicted of attempted murder and murder, around 12 to 22 victims. We'll get into that later. And his penalty was death. His early crimes was in 1974, where the Texas jury convicted Suff and his wife at the time, Tyrell, of beating their 2-month-old daughter to death, which makes him an absolute piece of shit. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals later reversed Tyrell's sentence, but upheld Suff's in Suff's versus State, and finding insufficient evidence against her as either the primary actor of the crime or the principal in their baby's murder. Though Suff was supposed to be sentenced for 70 years in a Texas prison, he only served 10 years before his 1984 parole, which I have no idea how he was granted parole. And he was currently he is dead. Thank you. But at a few years ago or something, he was incarcerated at San Quentin after being convicted of killing 12 women in California, and he received the death penalty in 1995. Suff, without any better terms, R-word, tortured, strangled, and sometimes mutilated 12 or more women. Detectives think that the range of women that did those things to was around 22. In Riverside County between June 28th, 1989 and December 23rd, 1991. On January 9th of 1992, Suff was arrested after a routine traffic stop done by a police officer. He found a bloody knife and objects that were related to the killings, which I will get into later. Described as a mannered loner, Suff worked at a warehouse in Riverside County where he was arrested. And that part's very important because, actually, yeah, I'll tell you later. And his parole hearing was also in Texas. And during his time in this job, he delivered furniture and office supplies to, get this, the task force who was investigating his crimes. In 1995, the Riverside County jury found Suff guilty of killing 12 women and attempting to kill another one. Though the police suspect that he was responsible for 22 deaths, the courts found him guilty of 12 and attempted. Suff did not testify under his own defense, which clearly marks him as a serial killer. And during the penalty phase that followed, the prosecutor presented evidence linking Suff to the 1988 murder of a San Bernardino woman, as well as evidence that despite his prior Texas prison term for murdering his first daughter, he abused and violently shook his 3-month-old daughter by his second wife. Total piece. On August 17, 1995, after deliberating for only 10 minutes of deliberating, the jury found him guilty on 12 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. The jury did not unanimously, I can't even say English anymore, found him guilty of 13 counts of murder on October 26, 1995, and the trial court followed the jury's verdict and ordered Suff to be put down, condemned to death, executed, however you will. His 2014 appeal sentence was rejected by the California Supreme Court, and they eventually upheld the death penalty. So, these murders started from, technically they started from 1974 if you count his two children, but each murder had some odd point to it. Pretty much each murder had something that could or is related to one of the detectives of the task force. And he would also have random objects there that would not make any sense. One of them being a light bulb being inserted
That's what she said.
into the female. I don't really know how to explain that, but that's how it was. And there was also a lot of times where he would taunt the lead detective by dumping a body in his grandfather's old apple orchard, as well as he has killed someone that the detective knew, which is pretty much saying, hey, I know you, I know who you are, and I know things about you, which was creepy in itself. Suff would change his tires of his van, and each tire was different, so it was difficult for the detectives to track down a specific car until one detective managed to trace down that the only car that could accommodate all the tire tracks that they found belonged to one specific van. Creepy enough, the Suff actually posted a sign saying for rent was almost like an early version of Uber. Suff had multiple objects that were not related to the crime, or not related to each other or any of the detectives in any way, but managed to get him caught. When the detective found out that Suff was the killer after the traffic stop, he went to his house and there was a woman there. I think it was his girlfriend. But when she invited him into the house, he noticed that there was the light bulb that was the same light bulb that was inserted to one of the women, a cat where on each crime scene they would find cat hair, as well as a red sleeping bag where red sleeping bag fibers were found at the crime scenes as well, which I didn't know was possible, as well as lots of tires on or in the garage, and that was just some of the evidence they used to convict Suff. Again, this was before all like fingerprints and that kind of stuff, so it was more difficult for police to apprehend criminals at the time. But it was pretty good detective work. But Suff, for quite a while, actually stayed ahead of the police because he worked at the place where the police would order furniture for the task force. He would usually deliver the cabinets and chairs, and he even at a point allowed two detectives to use his phone so that they could talk about the case, and he was outside listening to it. The Riverside Killer by Christine Kears and Dennis St. Pierre was published in 1996 by the Pinnacle True Crime series, Pinnacle True Crime. And by the way, this is books and TV shows and movies that this killer has been in. There was a 1997 book called Cat and Mouse, Mind Games with a Serial Killer, where Suff met with the author, Brian Allen Lane, and told his story. And then there was also a Netflix TV show, not sponsored or anything like that, just want to throw it out there. And I watched it, which was really good. So if you want to, go on Netflix, check out the show. It's called Real Detective, and in season 2, episode 2, there is a 40-minute episode revolving around the lead detective, Detective Bob Creed and the Riverside Task Force, and this aired in March 9 of 2017. Really good. He tells his story. Uh, it's a great story that you should watch. Now, for the 12 women that he was convicted of killing, their names are as followed: Kimberly Lytle, Tina Leal, Darla Ferguson, Carol Miller, Cheryl Coker, Susan Sternfield, Kathleen Moline, Sherry Latham, Kelly Hammond, Catherine McDonald, Dahlia Zamora, and Eleanor Carceres. That's like deep condolences to those women. And yes, Suff was executed, and he is no more. And this story is one of the lesser known American serial killers. Um, but yeah, that's William Suff, the Riverside Killer. If you want to see any other serial killers or any types of mysteries that you want to see, just throw it down in the comments. This is my first video, so please go easy on me. I'll change it if there's any comments suggesting that I should change something or do something different. But thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you all soon.